Okay, back to the Kawasaki gear case. Let's go over here and take a look at it real quick. Here's your gear case right there. I got it off. This housing goes in there anyway. So I pulled that out. That's just got it. You pull it over the studs. It's got an O-ring on the side there, right behind my thumb there. There's an O-ring, seals it up. So that's out. Now our leak was down inside of here, the seal. And as I said in my last video, the dealership said, the repair manual said it wasn't serviceable, that I had to take it to the shop. So, well, we're not taking it to the shop. So I'll tell you what I did. Let me get in here closer. You can see this nut. You can see that little peened over area right there. I took a small punch and I knocked it out. And I had to get this nut off. To get the nut off, I took a pair of vice. It's real hard to hold it because you don't want to touch. You don't want to touch any of this. This is finally machined surfaces. You can't have any nicks or anything on that. You'll really screw up something serious. The other side is just splines that go into the shaft. It's pretty hard steel. But anyways, I clamped these vice grips on there. And the vice grips really didn't, by themselves wasn't strong enough to fully hold it. So, anyways, I put the vice grips in the vise and squeezed right on the actual vice grips themselves in the vise. I put an impact on it, started on it, but it seemed like it was really on there good, so I assumed it was had Loctite on it. Took my little propane torch and just something like that. You don't need to not oxygen acetylene. And I just heated it up. You don't want it red hot, you just want it hot, a couple 100 degrees, 150 degrees, not that hot. But that's enough to loosen that Loctite. Then, spun that nut right off. And all it is a nut, a washer, and then this piece here, which has got splines on the inside too, it slid off. Once that slid off, the gear came out the bottom, one bearing on the bottom. And then the seal was in there. This is the old seal. So it sits down in there. And there's one bearing on the back side and one underneath the seal. So once I pulled the shaft out, the bottom bearing came out. I popped the seal, I pushed the seal out this way, and then the top bearing came out. So then I went and put my, so I went ahead and, I checked everything out. Everything looked fine. So I put the shaft back in this way. Put my bearing in, put my seal in, and I tapped the seal and it was just a big socket. Just to carefully, because I had to go over that shaft before the spline piece. And I tapped that seal down in there with this big socket. Okay, I got the seal in there. Then I just slid the spline piece back on there, put the washer back on there, the nut. And when I took it apart, I marked this. Besides having that peen mark on the shaft, we wanted to make sure we got it exactly in the right spot. So you can see I got a couple little lines right there, two little dashes. And I perfectly lined those back up where they were. So I'm not sure what the torque specification was on this. But we just put it back exactly where it was. I peened that spot back over. Now we'll go over the bike. As if you got into this far, you pretty much know what's going on here. But there's a little shim piece on here. Somebody's here. But that goes on the outside of this. So anyways, I'm going to put this back, slide this back in there. Make sure your O-ring is intact. There's also an O-ring around this spool piece. And it's pretty hard to see, but just look for the black right in there. You can see that O-ring with the tip of my finger. And that O-ring was actually broke on mine. I just had an O-ring assortment box and I found one the right size. That O-ring just seals up to keep the dust out from around the drive shaft and the splines. But anyways, we'll slide this back in there. And that's the way it goes. That O-ring is going to seal it. still oil in this too, so when I get all done with this, I'm going to change this oil. I'm going to drive it a little bit, and then I'm going to change the oil. There we go. Put this back on. A little shim. And all I do is reinstall it back in your bike. And if any of you had your back wheel off of your bike before, you know that just this fits in, you know. Put a little grease on these splines here too. Won't hurt any. A little bit of grease on them splines won't hurt nothing, but put that back on. Now, and don't lose your little spacer. This goes inside the back side of that. But anyways, so that's the video how I fixed this. Like I said, the book said that it needed to be fixed at the dealer. I had to take this gearbox into the dealer and let them fix it. I mean, I don't see any problem with doing it the way I did it. I'm sure that the manufacturer had some sort of torque specification on there, or they had some kind of specification with some kind of shims, but you put it back exactly where it was, it should be fine. I've done this on cars, pickup trucks, rear-wheel drive, pinion seals many times. And the seal, I bought the seal, new old stock off eBay. I think it was $7. If I carried this into the dealer, they probably would have charged me $40 for the seal and maybe a couple hundred for the fix. I don't know. And if I took the whole bike in there and had them take it apart, who knows what they would charge me. But I know I haven't made y'all a video in a while. Y'all got any suggestions or ideas of things you want to see? I did have some interest in forks. I actually contemplated if somebody wanted, maybe we'll work out something where I can get some forks from somebody and rebuild somebody else's forks, because I don't have a set that need to be rebuilt right now, but that's something I've been thinking about anyway. All right, y'all stay safe. Till next time.